After the long 40 years of wandering in the desert, the Israelites stood at the edge of their destiny. Their legendary leader, Moses, was gone, and a heavy mantle now fell upon his successor, Joshua. Imagine the pressure. Before him lay the promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey, but also a land filled with fortified cities and formidable enemies. It was in this moment of uncertainty that God spoke directly to Joshua, not with a whisper, but with a command that would echo through history: be strong and very courageous. God promised that just as he was with Moses, he would be with Joshua. He wouldn't fail him or forsake him. This was the divine commission that would launch one of the most incredible military and spiritual campaigns ever recorded. Joshua's first move was a classic one: reconnaissance. He sent 2 spies to scout the first major obstacle, the impenetrable city of Jericho. This wasn't just any city. Its walls were legendary, a symbol of impossible strength. The spies slipped into the city and found refuge in the most unlikely of places, the home of a prostitute named Rahab. Now, this is where the story takes a fascinating turn. Rahab wasn't just offering a hiding place, she was making a statement of faith. She told the spies, "I know that the Lord has given you this land." She had heard the stories of what God had done for Israel, parting the Red Sea and defeating mighty kings. Her faith in the God of Israel was so profound that she risked her own life to protect these foreign agents. She helped them escape over the city wall, and in return, they made a solemn promise. When the Israelite army came to conquer Jericho, she and her entire family would be spared. All she had to do was hang a scarlet cord from her window, a sign of their covenant and her faith. With the spies returned and their report delivered, the entire nation of Israel prepared to move. But there was another obstacle, just as daunting as Jericho's walls: the Jordan River. It was springtime, the harvest season, and the river was at flood stage, a raging, impassable torrent. There were no bridges, no boats large enough for millions of people and their livestock. How would they cross? God provided the way. He instructed Joshua to have the priests, carrying the sacred Ark of the Covenant, walk directly into the churning water. Think about the faith that required. As soon as their feet touched the river's edge, the miracle happened. The waters flowing down from upstream stopped, piling up in a heap far away, while the water downstream flowed on, leaving a wide, dry path in the middle of the riverbed. The entire nation of Israel, men, women, and children, walked across on dry ground, staring in or at the watery walls held back by God's invisible hand. It was a powerful, undeniable sign that the same God who parted the Red Sea for Moses was now with Joshua. Once across the Jordan, the Israelites set their sights on Jericho. And the battle plan God gave Joshua was, to put it mildly, unconventional. There would be no siege towers, no battering rams. Instead, for 6 days, the entire army, led by priests blowing trumpets made from ram's horns and carrying the Ark of the Covenant, was to march around the city once in complete silence. The people of Jericho must have watched from their walls, confused, maybe even mocking this strange daily parade. But on the 7th day, the plan escalated. The Israelites were to march around the city not once, but 7 times. After the 7th lap, the priests would sound a long, final blast on their trumpets. At that signal, the entire army was to let out a mighty shout. It sounds bizarre, a strategy based on noise and marching. But the Israelites obeyed. On that 7th day, after the 7th lap, as the trumpets blared and the collective shout of a nation rose to the heavens, the impossible happened. The massive, fortified walls of Jericho didn't just get breached, they crumbled, collapsing into a heap of rubble. The city was defenseless. The Israelites rushed in and captured their first stronghold in the Promised Land, just as God had promised. Rahab and her family, safe behind the scarlet cord, were saved. Riding high on the miraculous victory at Jericho, the Israelites were confident, maybe a little too confident. Their next target was a much smaller city called Ai. Joshua, thinking it would be an easy win, sent only a small force of about 3,000 men. But they were shockingly defeated and driven back, with 36 Israelite soldiers losing their lives. The defeat was devastating. The people's hearts melted with fear, and Joshua fell on his face before God, confused and heartbroken. Why had God allowed this to happen? God's answer was swift and clear: there was sin in the camp. Someone had disobeyed his direct command. After Jericho, God had declared that all the plunder, the gold, silver, and valuables, were to be devoted to the Lord's treasury. Nothing was to be taken for personal gain. An investigation was launched, and through a process of elimination, the guilty party was identified: a man named Achan. He confessed that he had coveted and taken a beautiful robe, some silver, and a bar of gold, burying them in his tent. This secret sin had brought defeat upon the entire nation. The sin was dealt with, and only after this purification could Israel move forward in victory once again. Later, Joshua found himself facing his greatest military challenge yet. A powerful coalition of 5 Amorite kings joined forces to attack Israel's allies. Joshua led his army on a forced march all night to meet them in a surprise attack. The battle was fierce, and the Israelites were gaining the upper hand, but Joshua realized he was running out of a crucial resource: daylight. He needed more time to secure a complete and total victory. In a moment of audacious faith, Joshua did something unprecedented. He prayed, out loud, in front of his entire army, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and you, moon, over the valley of Ajalon." And the Bible records that God answered this incredible prayer. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down for about a full day, giving the Israelite army the extra time they needed to rout their enemies completely. It was a day like no other, a testament to what can happen when a leader trusts God so completely that they are willing to ask for the impossible. The victory was decisive and broke the back of the southern resistance in Canaan. Over the years that followed, Joshua led the Israelites in a series of brilliant campaigns, conquering king after king and city after city, systematically taking possession of the land God had promised their ancestors centuries before. The book of Joshua lists 31 kings defeated under his leadership. Finally, with the land largely subdued and divided among the 12 tribes of Israel, Joshua, now an old man, knew his time was short. He gathered all the leaders and all the people of Israel together for one final, powerful address. He reminded them of everything God had done for them, from calling Abraham to rescuing them from Egypt, to the miraculous victories in the Promised Land. He laid out a clear choice for them. They could serve the foreign gods of the lands they had conquered, or the gods their ancestors had served, but he made his own position crystal clear. In words that have inspired countless generations since, Joshua made his famous declaration, "But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." He challenged the people to choose for themselves who they would serve, and they responded with a renewed commitment to God. Joshua's life, from a nervous successor to a courageous commander, ended as it began, with unwavering faith in the promises of God. Thank you so much for watching. If this story of courage, faith, and leadership inspired you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into epic historical accounts. We'll see you in the next video.